So one thing that I absolutely love, man, about year-end stuff is just taking a look back at every single thing that happened in, my lawn care business. And when I mean taking a look at everything, I mean everything. Like analyze the frickin' hell out of things, right? I always say at the beginning of every year, I always look forward to the end of it. All right? I mean, it's like, because doing this stuff is so fun to me, bro. So anyways, what type of stuff am I talking about? I mean, I'm talking about analyzing stuff, but what in the hell am I talking about? Well, obviously it's really frickin' broad. But let me just bring up one nerdy-ass point about how, tracking data, especially related to time in a service sector business, related to jobs, when you are in this type of industry, tracking these things can be seriously just useful because it'll help you just see where you can make improvements in terms of profit. When your service sector business, your costs are tied directly to the use of labor hours. And it's kind of interesting because when you take a look at analyzing the cost to produce a product, and you take a look at how that company produces the product, you break down basically the time that it takes a product to go from like raw materials to finished product, okay? And when you're taking a look at that stuff, you have an expectation, and what you're always going to estimate is an estimated expectation of waste in your production line. Okay, on your production line, you expect waste when you take a look at cost of producing a product. And one thing that I think is useful to apply to service sector industries is take a look at the cost of waste in your production line. What's your production line? It corresponds to the human labor hours. You're in a service. You need a human to do that. Where's the waste in your industry? Inside of your labor hour. How does your labor hour break down? So now let's get really specific. For lawn care, I've determined, I guess it is a theory that I have, but I've determined that the waste in lawn care's production is in drive time, okay? The business doesn't get paid, the lawn care business does not get paid to sit behind the glass, okay? If you're looking through the glass, bro, you're gonna end up on your ass, okay? I mean, you're looking through the glass, you're gonna lose your ass, all right? You don't get paid for drive time when you're the owner. That's a waste in your production run, but you have to do it, you have to estimate it, and you have to account for it. You have to be able to recoup that cost in what you're charging for your services. So anyways, one thing that I do all year long, bro, all year long, okay, is I track the amount of time that we spend on every job site, When we first get to a property, you pull up to the yard, there's a clipboard with a schedule on it, property line, client name, address, what you're doing there, and then times, okay? And I'm not saying all you do is you pull up to the house, it's 10:02. You write 10:02 next to the name. You leave the property at 10:30. You write 10:30 next to the name, okay? And then I go back in there later and do 28 minutes, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously, you track the time for the total day, like on a different spot of the paper. So then what do you have? You have the time that you spent on the ground working, producing for your business, earning money, versus the total time in the day that it took you. And then, because you have your total time for the day and the amount of time that you spent at every property, take your total time for the day, minus all the time that you spent at the property, you now have your drive time for the day. You have your waste. Isn't that beautiful? Okay? It's a really good way to track that. So then, even if you have all that fancy stuff, and I've seen a lot of guys out there too in lawn maintenance business with stopwatches. And that's another way to do it too. You can track this stuff with the stopwatch and then go back in at the end of the day and write down the total time on the stopwatch. That works too. It saves you a step. I have to go back and look at the schedule and do math, right? I have to figure out how many minutes was, 10:02 to 10:30 or whatever. You can just save yourself a step if you just use a stopwatch. But anyways, that's how I do it. I feel like it's easier for the guys. And then let's take a look at what I do with all of those times for those jobs. So let me point you guys over here. All right, I just label it Cost Sheets 2020 because it's how I kind of apply my costs to each job that we do. So you see, this is Excel. So you see how it goes A, B. Okay, I blocked out some columns. I've got columns for, the name, the person's address. You can see the zip code there, the service, what we're doing. And then this hourly goal column is just kind of what my estimate was for the job. And then, a minute goal. This really is, these three columns are kind of just a blank column. These get printed on the schedule in terms of this cost sheet. I don't really use it for here. That's for different purposes. But then you get over here and now we're really talking. AT hours on site. Okay, sorry, right here too. So I'll take that total time in minutes that we were on the job and I'll drop it into this column. And then, okay, real simple, actual hours on site. So you take the minutes, convert it to hours. Daily hours, this gets that's the total, sorry, not complicated yet. That's the total hours figured between here and here. Okay, sorry, I'm being dumb. This column right here is the total daily hours, including the time on site and drive time. So this is simply just adding, you can see the equation, that plus that, adding the time on site and the drive time. Now this is a little bit more complicated, so I'm just not going to explain how I apply the drive time in this video. But if you want me to explain how I apply drive time to each individual job, you can see it's kind of messy in the formula bar. Message me and we can talk about it. And then this is just simply the drive time in minutes. This is hours. And then you go over here. Okay, I've got the price of the job blocked out, whatever. And then I've got the direct labor, the amount of miles it takes us. Okay, you see 4.1 times 2. So that's the total amount of miles that it would take to drive to this person's property and then drive back to our location. Okay, so you do it twice because you have to drive there and back. So that's debatably the total miles for the job. And then what you do is I have a total cost, I just have a total cost per mile, and then that's the amount of dollars it costs me to drive the miles. You can see the DL, this is the direct labor cost, okay, for that individual job, total cost of the miles. This is figuring in your other variable costs and your other mixed costs. And then you've got basically the total costs per job applied, excluding my salary, okay? And then you can see it goes from U to Y. I've got some margins in there as to how much, was made on the job. And then you've got the work crew. Was it 2 people? Was it 1 person? Was it 3 people? What was the deal? And this is tracked for every single job, bro. So check this out, for real. Column 1, right? How many jobs did we do this year? Started in column 4. How far are we getting down? 1,319 was the last job of the year for us. So, this stuff's, that's a lot of crap to track, right? That's a lot of stuff to track, but it honestly isn't as scary as what it might look like. But anyways, so taking a look at all of that crap, dude, like you have no idea how powerful that spreadsheet is. That spreadsheet is, wow. You get a ton of information from it. And one of the things of information that you get from it is this. Remember how I was talking about waste in your production lines? Well, let's get to the waste in my production line. So, okay. I was just taking a look here at, sorry, my hands are shaky. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Taking a look here and analyzing some stuff. Let me walk you through this. Okay, I'm taking a look at a two-man crew. Okay, I want everything for a two-man crew. The segment that I'm doing is strictly lawn mowing. So this means that all we did was we did the routine lawn mowing service. And that's all we did. We showed up, mowed, trim, blow, maybe we edged it, and we peeled off. So the quick work, the routine stuff. And then I tracked it for 2019 too. And then what you do is you find out your minutes of drive time per labor hour. Okay, where's your waste, right? The waste is in our drive time. So every single bit of labor hour that we spend driving is a bit of waste. Okay, in 2019, for every hour of labor that the two-man crew worked, 19 and a half minutes was spent in the car, behind the glass, wasting my money. Okay, you follow that? Do you follow that, right? The business owner of a lawn maintenance company does not get paid for people sitting in the chair in the car. So for every 60 minutes that the two-man crew worked in 2019, there was 19 and a half minutes of those 60 spent sitting in the car. What did it look like in 2020? Oh no, it went up. Crap, it went up to 22.12. So that's a variance, you can see right here, that's unfavorable of 2.5 minutes. We spent 2.5 minutes extra in the car per labor hour for 2020. Ouch. Okay. Oh, it's only 2.5 minutes. How much does that 2.5 minutes of extra time cost me over the course of the year while we're doing lawn mowing? 2020 versus 2019. For every one labor hour, that's supposed to say with an H, for every labor hour, the crew spent 2.56 minutes in the car extra versus 2019 and 2020. So, how many labor hours in total did the two-man crew have for the specific lawn mowing segment for the year? We had about 602 individual labor hours. We spent an extra 2.5 minutes sitting behind the glass, sitting in the car, right? Behind the windshield. That means that we spent, of this total labor hours, there was an additional 1,540 minutes of additional dead time comparing 2020 to 2019, year over year. You divide these minutes by 60, we have 25.69 labor hours of additional dead time in 2020 versus 2019. Did you follow that? The average hourly rate for a two-man crew, I just kind of threw this on there, it's pretty accurate. I didn't, give a special calculation for this number here, but that's about what it is about $35 an hour for a two-man crew. Your 25.69 times your average labor rate, $900 of additional labor expense due to the extra drive time. That 2.5 minutes cost me $900 at the end of the year. I would like that $900 right about now. Okay? So this is like the cool stuff, man, that I like to do at the end of the year. You got to do this stuff, And what's the reason for that extra 2.5 minutes of drive time per labor hour? I don't know. It could be anything. And quite frankly, compared to 2019, okay, I was in the field a lot more in 2020. So you would think that it would be more efficient, right? But it could be a variety of things. What does that 2.5 minutes make up? I don't think I made the routes any less dense, but I don't know. What is your route density, right? You can start looking at things like that. Are the people who you have in that two-man crew, are they slacking off? Are they taking extra time in between houses? What's going on? You don't know. But you should be aware that that happened. That cost you $900 at the end of the year. And I'm a small business, pretty small business, like small. I mean, Think about that stuff, man. That's why I like the end of the year.